where does reward come from when we do a certain commandment, right? A certain mitzvah, we keep it. When do we get our reward and when do we get punished? Does it happen in this world? Does it happen in the world to come? Olam hazeh, olam haba? This is a huge debate, right? The Maimonides sees it one way, Kabbalists, everyone sees it a different way, and Rabbi Raphael is going to give his 2 cents. So we're going to start with the first verse and ask a few questions. See, I present before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing that you hearken to the commandments of Hashem, your God, that I command you today. Now we need to first understand, in order to sort of comprehend the questions, the English translation, as always, is not as good as the original in Hebrew. In Hebrew it says, Re'eh anochi noten lifnechem hayom. Re'eh is in the singular, see, you the individual, and then it turns to, see what I present before you in plural. So the first question is, why does it say see to the individual re'eh and then lifnechem to all of you? The second question is, why does it say re'eh? Why see? When we're talking about punishment, reward, these are sort of conceptual things that one would expect to hear or listen. Why? And we know that we're told to listen, so why does it say here see? And the final question is, why does it say in the end, it says twice today, right? In the extra sort of see today, what I give you today, why the extra today, what's going on here? So Rabbi Raphael begins by saying that if you ask me, and there are opinions, right, in Maimonides, the idea of, the sort of the reward you get isn't really immediate, and the Torah speaks in a certain language. Rabbi Raphael says no. Rabbi Raphael says if it says today, the extra today implies that anything that we do, whether it's a transgression or a commandment that we keep, we get the reward or punishment in this world. However, and here he quotes King Solomon, who beautifully says, again the translation is off, her steps, her ways wander, but she knoweth it not. Now, this implies that man takes action, but we don't know which way it leads us. In Hebrew, though, it says ma'agalotea. The way to say she wanders is in circles. Life is a circle and everything goes round, which means if you keep a commandment, you're going to get a reward, yet we don't know if it's going to happen today, tomorrow, in a month's time. We don't know which commandment is worth protection from 5 transgressions, and which transgression is so lethal that it's going to hit us now, and which in years to come. So that's the first thing he says about the additional word today, meaning you're going to get what's coming for you for better or for worse, but we don't know how or when, so we need to be careful. Now we're moving on to the singular and the plural and why it says see. So first with see, why does it say see, re'eh, and not here? Because he says there's a difference between the Israelites and the generation of the desert, where when God gave them blessings or cursings, they actually physically felt it and saw it. So he's talking about that generation. There was a need for it to be seen then, and for times to come, we hear it. But that's why it says re'eh, because when he's talking about them then, they saw it. Now, why the individual and then move to the plural? He says this comes to teach us that, and he builds upon the Ralbag, Rabbi Levi ben Gershom, from a different place, where he talks about the fact that, the sages tell us that when you come to keep a commandment or to transgress, we need to see ourselves as if the entire world is at a tipping point, right? 50% good stuff, 50% bad stuff, and our action is going to determine whether the world goes this way or goes this way, whether it tilts like this or like this. And that's why it starts with the individual re'eh, you see. Because what you're about to do now, anything you do, a good thing or a bad thing, has implications on which way the world is going to tilt. Is it going to go for better or is it going to go for worse? What is the judgment going to be? And in this sense, he says that anything that we do, the reward or punishment we get is in this world. And in this world, we're all in the same boat. We are all in the same boat. All of us have implications for one another, the Israelites. However, when it comes to the world to come, each on our own. Meaning what we do here, we get judged, and that's what happens. Thoughts on the Torah portion of re'eh, of see, why the additional hayom today, why starting with the individual, moving to the plural, and the whole eternal question of when do we get the reward or punishment. Shabbat Shalom.